how much does it cost to lift concrete? You know, this looks great, what is it going to cost me? And the most common answer you get from companies is, well, it depends. And that is the truth. However, I want to share with you some guidelines, some ballparks, an understanding of how we come up with the price so that you're not going into this blind when hiring someone to lift your concrete. So with that being said, the first thing I want to share with you is how we even come up with the price. And it's really not complicated. What we do is we come to your house and we're looking at first the length and width, the area of each section that needs to be lifted. And then we also look at how high that section needs to go up, and then we multiply that by our price, okay? So that's basically the math that we use. The area times how high we have to lift it by our rate, okay? And you know, that's the simple math. However, we do make adjustments depending on how large the job is, how small the job is. Some jobs are trickier than others, so there's some flexibility in that price depending on each job. Now, to give you a ballpark idea now, for instance, a front walkway, which is the most common repair that we make. A front walkway, if you're talking a few inches, couple sections, you're gonna be under $1,000. You're gonna be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on a front walkway. Next thing is a driveway. If you have 2-3 panels, now when I say panels, that's typically an 8x8 or a 10x10 section. 2-3 panels along your garage, down a couple inches, you're anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, okay? Again, all depends on the area and how high we have to lift it. Same thing with the patio. Couple panels along the house have sunken, you're anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, okay? But these numbers can change depending on how high we have to lift it. Now, the last thing you want to keep in mind is every company has a minimum charge, okay? That's important to know. Meaning there is a starting price for any job, and that starting price varies depending on the company. Some companies that are just starting out, okay, they're eager for work, they want to learn how to do it, they might come to your house for a minimum of $300, okay? Where other companies that are more experienced, they're busier, they have a strong reputation, they might charge you $800 to $1,000 for a minimum job, okay? What that means is if you just have, say, 1 square of concrete that needs to be moved up 1 inch, that will be the minimum, right? So if it's 300, the job's $300. If it's 1,000, that 1 square is $1,000, okay? Now, a lot of people don't like that, and really, you gotta understand, we're bringing $100,000 worth of equipment to your house to lift your concrete. We're also bringing 2 technicians that are paid well to your house. There's also setup that goes, regardless of the size of the job, the setup and the cleanup is the same. So there are a lot of fixed costs, there's a lot of investment being made. So it's important that in order to make it work economically, there is a minimum that we have to meet to get our guys and our equipment to your house to do the job. Now, here's some tips though on how to save money. Because a lot of people just have a couple squares they want to fix. They don't want to spend $500 or $1,000 on it, which, you know, I would agree. So what you can do is look around your neighborhood. If your sidewalk sunk, chances are your neighbor probably has a sunken sidewalk too if the houses were built around the same time, by the same company. Probably the same problems exist in your neighborhood. So find your neighbor, talk with them, go on, on Facebook and ask, hey, I want to fix my sidewalk. Anyone else have the same problem? Let's team up on this and we can save money, because now I could come to your house, do your sidewalk, do your neighbor's sidewalk, maybe another person's sidewalk, and charge you guys a much better rate than if I'm just doing one single sidewalk. So bundle those jobs together, talk with your neighbors. That's how you're going to save some money if you have small projects like that. So, so that's pricing. The best thing to do, obviously, the price, if someone quotes you a price over the phone, that is just a ballpark. The best thing to do is have them come to your house, measure, explain their process, explain their company, give you a detailed description of what's happening, what's going to be lifted where, with pictures. That's going to be really the best thing to do when hiring someone to lift your concrete.